Hi everyone, and welcome to our webinar entitled Collect Accurate Data First Time with Suite for ArcGIS. My name is Alice Duff. I'm the product manager for Suite for ArcGIS, and I'm joined by my colleague Claudia, who works in our customer communications team. Claudia is going to be providing us with some awesome demos today. A little bit of housekeeping at the start. This webinar is recorded and we will send around the link once the session is over. And in that email, we're also going to include some links to some useful resources about the product. There's going to be a Q&A session at the end, but feel free to ask any questions as we go through in the Q&A window, and we'll get through as many as we possibly can at the end of the session. And then we'd also really appreciate your feedback on what you think worked well about the webinar, what you think we could improve for next time, and any ideas for any topics you'd like to see in this series. So I'm going to start the webinar by asking you a few rhetorical questions. I appreciate that the webinar format doesn't lend itself to you answering them, but I'd like you to take a moment and think about your answers and how they apply to your organization. So does your organization capture data? Does your organization edit data? Do you work in the field, or are you office-based, or do you have a hybrid approach? Do you work in a disconnected or connected environment, or again, a combination of both? And do you work across multiple different teams within your organization? Do you work with contractors? Do you have a large number of people editing your data? And if you answered yes to any of those questions, do you have any issues maintaining data quality? And if you do have an issue maintaining data quality, I've got a couple more questions for you, and then I'm done with the questions. Would your organization like to stop the creation of bad data and stop the creation of errors within your data? Would your organization like to ensure consistency of the quality of your data, no matter who's collecting it and what their skill sets are? Would you like to save time on the lengthy and expensive quality assurance process and reduce the amount of time it takes from your data to be collected to it providing value to your business? Would you like to provide better quality data for analysis and basing business decisions on for your organization? If you answered yes to any of those questions, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our product called Suite for ArcGIS. Suite for ArcGIS is a web application for data collection, and it has built-in configurable data quality checks or rules, which help users capture and edit data accurately the first time and every time they use the application. So what is Suite for ArcGIS? Suite for ArcGIS is like any other web application that's available within the ArcGIS system. It works with Portal, either in online or enterprise, and it integrates with the wider ArcGIS system as it's based on feature services. Suite for ArcGIS can help your organization by increasing the efficiency through rules-based editing. These rules are inputted by whoever configures your application and vary from business to business. So you can put in your own custom rules to the application, which will ensure that no bad data or data errors are created by people who are using Suite for ArcGIS. Suite for ArcGIS is available everywhere. It's available through a browser, in an online environment, or in an offline environment. You can use our iOS, Windows, or Android applications. That means everyone in your organization, whether they're in the field or in the office, is using the exact same application. Using the rules enables you to remove the lengthy and expensive QA process within your organization. Because any data that's created within Suite for ArcGIS automatically applies to your business rules, you cannot create bad data. Therefore, you do not need to run the QA process as we currently know it. No specialist GIS knowledge is required to use Suite for ArcGIS. We have spent a lot of time working on making the most simple user interface that we possibly could. It's browser-based. The application only gives you access to the tools that you need when you need them. And the rules-based engine means that any data being created by any user type, no matter how skilled they are, won't have any errors in it. Suite for ArcGIS also leverages your existing ArcGIS investment because it integrates with feature services and a variety of other applications within the system. Before we move on to the demonstration, I just wanted to give you a very quick sort of taster of some of the use cases from some of our main customers. Ordnance Survey is one of our lighthouse accounts. They won the Enterprise Award at the user conference this year for their work with Suite for ArcGIS. And the Ordnance Survey have managed to reduce the time taken from a data job from 10 weeks to 2 days. And they've done that by imposing their business rules at the point of entry of that data, rather than having to go through a QA process. Homes England have enabled their geospatial team to concentrate on more analytically advanced projects by widening the user base of GIS to capture and edit data. And they're able to do this with confidence because of Suite's simple to use interface and inbuilt rules. Now I'm going to pass over to Claudia, who's going to give you a demonstration of the application.
Hi everyone, as Alice mentioned, I'm Claudia, and over the next 15 minutes or so, I'm just going to walk through really what Suite is all about and show how you can capture and edit data accurately first time in both online and offline environments. So I'm going to use two examples throughout this demo. And the first example app that we've got here in Suite is all about carrying out habitat surveys in the field. So before we actually go into the data and capturing, let's just have a look at the interface of this app so that we can see straight away actually that the vast majority of our screen display is dedicated to the map. So it's giving you all of that space to focus on capturing and editing your data. And you can do that both in Office and out in the field. So it's accessible on both desktop devices and on tablets. And this navigation tool that we've got across the bottom corner here is actually designed specifically for those with tablets to help navigate across your map, to best display your map as well and see your data. And we can turn that off as well if we're wanting to have even more space to focus on our map. On the left hand side, you can see we've also got a number of different features within this panel, including messages, which I'll go into a little later on. We've got layers, so we can see exactly what our map is made up of, and we can toggle those on and off as you'd normally expect with ArcGIS. You can also find your legend here as well, so you can see how each of these layers are symbolized. We've also got base maps, so you can change the base map to best suit the data you're capturing and the area that you're looking at, as well as being able to find as well. Now, these top two are far more specific to our use case of habitat surveying, and this is because the panel is fully customizable, and you can edit, you can add, you can remove, and you just have complete customizable control of your panel to best suit you and make sure that you're fully equipped with all the capabilities, the tools and the information you need to collect your data. Along the top here, we've got our selection and our editing tools. Now, these do adapt depending on the context. So you're only presented with a certain number of buttons at that particular time of data capture. So let's just go into actually a couple of, just show how easy it is to use these tools by drawing in some data. So you can see here we've already got our boundary. So this is the area of land that we are wanting to survey. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to click create. And we're going to choose what feature we want to draw. So let's go for neutral grassland. And I can go ahead and I can start drawing the feature that I'm wanting to add. Now, as soon as I've finished drawing this feature, it's automatically uploading directly to my feature layer. And you can also see it's automatically applied symbology. So I've already configured that in my layer as well. You can also see our new feature is still selected, And so we have all of these additional tools across the top here. So we can go ahead and we can add to this feature. If I'm wanting to add a polygon on the side, for example, we can do the opposite. I can actually subtract as well. So if I'm wanting to just remove part of this polygon, I can go ahead and I can do that. I can also split the polygon. So if we're wanting to make multiple features out of this, I can go ahead and I can split. And on the right hand side here, you can see we can actually split by polygon or we can split by line. So if I click split by line and I draw straight down the middle here, it's actually created two features. And just to jump back to that messages pane that I mentioned earlier, you can see Suite's providing all of these messages to tell you exactly about all of your edits. So you can see here Suite's telling us that our split has caused additional features to be split and a new feature added. And just to show that, we can see with the select tool here, we can see we've now got two individual features. We can also reshape. So if I select that, we can actually move individual vertex across to adjust the shape that I'm wanting to make for this particular habitat. And the green ones, these are actually shared. So if I drag that, it's going to move both the corner of both of these polygons. Now, all of them, the drawing that I've shown here, if I go back to create, this is all using the standard drawing mode. So across the right hand side here, you can see draw mode. We actually have Suite provides a few different ones. So it's got standard, curves, freehand, follow, and stencils. So it's providing you with all of these additional tools to best capture your data. And we also have actually in the bottom right corner here, as well as layer settings, we also have snapping and ruler. So if I turn both of these on, and if I go to to add more features, you can see here that actually my cursor, as soon as I get close to a feature, is actually snapping to that existing feature with that red cursor that you can see there. So I can, if I'm drawing, it's actually going to instantly snap to that feature nice and easily. And the same goes for my boundary as well. So I can make sure that I'm going straight up to my boundary there. You'll also see that as I'm drawing, we've actually now got this ruler telling us the exact measurement of this drawing, again giving us that accuracy as I'm drawing and at the point of capture. And both the ease of its interface and its tools really lends itself to being suitable for all. So whether you really are a GIS whiz or you're perhaps some of your field workers have very little technical expertise, with these tools, your users don't need to worry about capturing the data accurately because the app is doing all of that for you. So your workers really don't need to worry. Now, Suite as a web-based editing app is all about having rules in place to remove the risk of the data entry errors, speed up your data entry and editing processes. And Suite can take your own business rules and logic into account to make sure that you're capturing and editing your data and you're getting it right every time, first time, every time. Now, there are three key methods in how Suite does this for implementing rules and logic, and we'll go into each of those now. So the first of these is topological rules or spatial rules. So this is where you can set rules to the geometry of your drawn features. For example, if I draw in another habitat, now I'll just turn off snapping and a ruler for now. And if I go ahead and I draw a feature here, now you can actually see that Suite's rejected this edit and it's only going to accept the feature that's laid within my survey boundary because we've configured that rule. And you can see here that in our messages pane, Suite has told us that our edit has had to be reshaped to fit that boundary. So just to show you that again, if I draw a feature here, you can see it's rejected that portion that's outside of the boundary and it's kept that's within the boundary. And the same goes for if I try to draw another feature on top of one another. So Suite will actually automatically, again, as soon as I complete that, It's again had to edit my drawing, only accepting the areas of the polygon that do not overlap one another, because we've set that rule where polygons can't overlap. So this means that all of your data that you're capturing adheres to the rules that you set in the configuration of your app, and you know that your data is valid at the point of entry, so you're saving your organization's time and money on these expensive QA processes. So just putting myself in the shoes of the ecologist team a second who are carrying out this survey. I might not be that tech savvy or that familiar with GIS, but by simply using this Suite app, I can easily see the portion of land that we're surveying. I can see that Suite's not going to let any users add any features outside of that land parcel, and they cannot overlay habitat polygons as well. So all of my users in my team are all going to be adhering to all of the rules that we've set in this app. And of course, what this means is once you're done drawing your data, thanks to Suite, all of that is already captured digitally. It's ready for you with no cleanup required, and you can be confident that it all meets your rules and that your data is as accurate as possible. Now they're just as easy to set up as they are to use. So to show this, I'm just going to open up the configuration of our app. And you can see here we're in the data rules editor of this particular app. Here we can see if we select topology on the left hand side here as we're setting our topological rules. Here is where we can actually specify the rules that I've just been showing in the app. So we can specify the smallest polygon that can be drawn for this particular layer, whether polygons can contain holes, whether they can be multiple polygons or any single, and whether they can overlap one another. So if I just go to the feature layer that I've just been drawing, we can see here that overlapping is not allowed, hence why we edited our drawing to comply with this rule. Now we can also set rules for how multiple layers interact with one another, such as we saw in my app, as habitats must be contained within the survey boundary. Suite did not accept my edit and instead only draw the features that laid within the boundary. And you can see we've got this rule added here. Suite can also integrate attribute rules, allowing you to validate and calculate data on the fly, all whilst you're in the field. Suite can also constrain what fields appear to the user and make sure they're only presented with the needed fields at that point of data capture. So let's go ahead and let's draw another feature. So this time we'll go for broadleafed woodland. And just to show you those rules again, let's draw it here. And we can see it's again applied for this new feature. It's only accepted the drawing that's contained within my survey boundary. And if I just go to properties, you can see here we've got a number of different attributes, and a few of these as well are automatically populated based on the type of feature that I've drawn. And you can see here it's also captured the code of this particular feature. Now actually this one is grayed out because it's a read-only field. So you can actually specify which fields users can interact with as well. So you have more control over your data. Beneath you'll also see we've got a few more fields here, such as does this require a review? If I specify yes, you can see it then automatically providing us with an additional question asking us for the reason for review. And if I specify no, you can see we've automatically got all of these additional fields captured, including our the name of the creator and the date that this data has been created as well. Now if I just scroll back up here, if I go ahead and I change the feature using the drop down, we'll go to grassland and marsh. Now you should notice that that's automatically changed the symbology on my map to match that new feature that we've just selected. And it's automatically removed those populated fields and instead provided us with the one appropriate to that feature. If I go ahead and I click on level 1 drop down, you'll see that I'm now only presented with the attributes that apply to this new feature type of grassland and marsh. If I then select one of these and fill out these attributes, you'll notice that it's automatically providing me with additional attributes, as well as calculating automatically on the fly this code for the particular feature. You can see it's continuing to change there, and it's also reflected in the symbology. Let's go into the final method that Suite can use to integrate your business rules and logic, and that's the ability to provide dynamic feedback. Now, dynamic feedback is all about immediately seeing the impact of a user's edit on the map. So as the feature is being drawn or edited, the user can see its impact through messaging, statistics, and charts to instantly understand their data and ultimately just lead to quicker decision making. Now, to showcase this, I'm actually going to jump to another example. So our first one is all about ecologists in the field in an offline environment accurately capturing and editing habitat survey data. Whereas this example, we're out of the field and back into the office, and we're taking a look at electoral boundaries in an area of London. So if I just click on one of these wards here, and I click on the properties pane, you'll notice that we can see a number of different attributes again. So it's showing the number of councillors, the people per council, the total number of feedback, the total number of voters, sorry. And now just to quickly show these attribute rules in action again, if I just split this polygon, or I reshape this polygon, we'll go for actually, and I line reshape, like that. You should notice that the total number of people per councillor is changing automatically as I make that edit. So just to show that, I'll actually click the undo button, and there you should be able to notice we've got that number of people per councillor change. It's also important to notice actually these undo and redo buttons are incredibly valuable for a web editing application and can become very valuable, as I'm sure you guys can imagine. Now this example includes a customized statistics pane as well, so that I can keep up to date with my data as edits are being carried out. And this is where it provides instant feedback as well. So if I again flip between the edit that I've just done there, you can see that again, all of the statistics, so the ideal voters per councillor might be a good one to look at. You can see that it's automatically changing with that edit. So you're seeing that reflection in the data straight away. So how exactly is Suite doing this? Well, this is all down to the app configurator. So let's just go behind the scenes of this app. Now, applying attribute rules and dynamic feedback, that's all done through the wireframe editor, which we can see we've got opened here. You can see here we have our panels with our various different features that we've just seen in our app. And you can go ahead and you can add your own panels by clicking the plus sign. We have some templates such as we've got stencils, we've got levels, find, or we can even create our own custom panel as well. So this is where we can add our own charts and features, kind of like we have just done, shown in that statistics pane that's made for this particular app. So if I just come out of this and going to my properties panel, you can see here we have, if I click on our wards, sorry, this is where we have all of our fields that we're specifying whether we want it to be displayed, whether Suite automatically is calculating that field, or perhaps it requires a user input. Going to our statistics pane, and if I just open up the panel editor, This is exactly where we can actually configure what charts and statistics we're wanting to show. So clicking on this first one, that's our bar chart that we saw at the very top of our statistics panel. Here is where we can actually control the type of chart, for example, that we're wanting to show. So whether it is a bar chart or perhaps a pie chart, a donut chart, or a gauge, for example. There's some really nice different features in here to best display your data. We can also control how we're linking to our data as well. So this is all done through a arcade script. So if I click on our script here, just give it a second to load it up. You can see here that we've written a arcade script here to calculate the property count per ward. So here's a great example of how really you can just completely customize your panel to be able to best show the data that you're wanting to, just by using a arcade script. Configuring the dynamic map feedback is by going into this data button at the central point of our map here. If I click on that, you'll notice we've got this map feedback drop down. As you can see here, we've already got one added, so the council field feedback field that can be edited. So if I just click on that and I click edit so we can take a look at this one particular example, you'll notice here that these are fully customizable and they're flexible, so you can create map feedback that suits you. So here we've got the feedback type is a layer, but it could be a HTML overlay, it could be a post edit. And again, we can control the data that's used in the feedback using a arcade script. So in this particular example, on the fly, using Arcade, we can calculate the total number of counsellors and the ideal number of people per counsellor as that user is making all of these edits to the data. So you're automatically getting answers to the kind of edits that are being made, if you like. And again, fully customizable, so you can write whatever script you like to create whatever map feedback you require. Now, one thing to stress here is that all of this configuration of your app is done only once. So as soon as you've set up your rules, your panels, customized your interface to best suit your business, then, well, that's really it. You can then distribute it to your users, and you can go ahead and capture your data correctly, first time again and every time. So I really hope this has given you a good insight as to how Suite can help you collect and edit data accurately first time. And included in Suite, there are also some great templates to help you get started, along with template arcade scripts as well, if you're less familiar with Arcade, to help you configure some really great charts and statistics. But I hope you've also seen how customizable Suite is as well, so that you can apply your own business rules and your own logic to your own app. So that's all from me, and I'll now pass back to Alice, who is going to wrap up.
Thank you so much, Claudia. I hope you all enjoyed those super demos. We have had a couple of questions through. So the first question was about the licensing model. So Suite is licensed on term licenses, so that's a license for 12 months. There's two license types, the builder, which would be the license type for the sort of administrator who builds the applications. And then there's also an editor user type who uses those applications and actually is editing your data. So to understand a bit more about pricing, speak to your CSM. And then the next question we had was, if you split a polygon into two parts, can you control which part retains the original attribute values and which part becomes a new feature? So when you split a polygon, both parts of that feature will retain the original values that the original feature had. You can then go in using the properties panel and make changes to those features, or you can set up your own custom rules using Arcade for a specific action that generates new attribute values once the polygon has been split. And then we had one more question about getting access to Suite. So Suite is available with a 30-day trial. So if you go to our marketplace, you can sign up for a 30-day trial of Suite through ArcGIS Online, and you can get started straight away. In our email that we send round, we will give you access to that trial. And I think that's all that we've got time for. We did have one more question, and we can try and get back to that person individually. But thank you so much for your time. I hope that was valuable for you, and speak to you again soon.